Hi, this is Brandon Smitley from Thirst Gym in Terre Haute, Indiana. I'm here with my intern and coach, Matt, and we're going to talk about how to properly bench press. There's a lot of mistakes when it comes to bench pressing, especially with a straight bar, and so we're going to talk about some of the common mistakes we see and then how you would go around actually bench pressing, having set up to keep your shoulders safe, but also to maybe let you be able to bench press more and optimize that. The bench press is the main upper body exercise that it's pushed in most weight rooms, and so getting this right can help you not only get stronger, but also help you put on some exercise and strength. So I'm going to have Matt lay down on the bench here, and we're initially just going to first talk about setup. So the first thing that's important when it comes to setting up is that Matt's going to find where he wants his hands on the bar, just so we know where his grip is. Usually your grip is going to be about shoulder width, and then you're going to deviate out or in based upon your own grip and preferences. Some people prefer narrower grip, some people prefer a little bit wider. There's some rings on the bar. Usually for most people they're going to use that as a reference point, whether it be their pinky to their index finger, but from a competitive standpoint you can't be outside that ring. So if you're a power lifter, it's got to be on the inside of that ring, or at least be touching it, but outside of that it doesn't really matter. And then when Matt puts his hands on the bar, he's just going to put it where it's comfortable for him. And then we're going to work on setting the back next. So I personally prefer to put my feet on the bench to help set my back. I'll let Matt do his own thing in terms of how he prefers to set his back up. We'll kind of talk about how he does that and trying to correct that a little bit. So notice that he pulls himself into position. He pushes all this pressure on his upper traps right here. That's going to set his shoulder blades in position, and then he puts his feet down or his butt down wherever he wants. And then he's in a good position here. So you can see that he's got his shoulder blades retracted, pulled back. His lats are engaged, okay? So the lat's going to help stabilize the arm because it inserts here on the humerus. That's going to help stabilize that. So when he goes to unrack the bar is going to be more stable. He's got his hips down on the mat. He's got a little bit of gap in his back. So we don't want to necessarily arch through our low back. We want that arch to come from the thoracic spine and mid back. So notice that his chest is actually not the tallest point his rib cage is. So that's going to decrease range of motion, set his shoulder, and he's in a good optimal position here where he's not arching through his back, like I said, just through his mid back. So then he's got his feet set. Feet stance is up to him. You can be on your toes or on your feet. If you're a competitive powerlifter, listen to your organization and follow their rules. That will give you guidelines of what you're going to be able to do there. Matt chooses to bench flat-footed. So what he's going to have to do here is he's going to have to make sure he's pushing through his feet the whole time and his feet are good and stable. So notice that I can't move him around a whole lot. He's be able to apply some leg pressure here. That's going to help stabilize him on the bench as well. So once he's got his hands set, all that's done, Matt goes to unrack the bar. Go ahead and unrack the bar, Matt. He's going to unrack the bar. He's going to pull it over his chest. And basically he's got his elbows underneath his wrists. His lats are still engaged from where he was. Go ahead and extend your arms a little bit more. There you go. So that's his starting position. He's going to pull these down a little bit more. So now pull your shoulders down, Matt. There we go. There. Hopefully you can see that minor difference. So then push them out. Go ahead and protract, Matt. And then pull them together. So see that difference? That's the difference that you want to see, because that's going to set your shoulder. It seems like a very subtle difference, but that's going to save your shoulder in the long run health-wise, but also gives him a better foundation to press with. So now that he's got his hands on the bar, in terms of grip, whether your thumb's around or false, it honestly does not matter. If you're gripping the bar correctly like Matt is, he's got his knuckles up towards the ceiling, he's squeezing his pinky and his thumb, so he's got the bar like this, and he's physically pulling the bar. So you can feel the rigidity in his arms. He's actually what we call white knuckling the bar. That's going to help force transfer from the hand all the way down the bench from the feet. So then if you're doing a competition, you got to start command or you start the bench. He's going to come down. As he comes down, his elbow is going to track straight down. He's going to pause on his chest briefly just for this demonstration. Notice that, oh, you can go back down. So as he's touching, he's actually below his nipple line. And when we look at it, the bar is actually over his elbow joint. So he's got a straight line to where his elbow and wrist are stacked with the bar. That's going to be optimal. That's going to prevent having some elbow issues. It's also going to, like I say, going to keep his shoulder safer as he's got his shoulders pulled together. And then when he actually goes to press, go ahead and press, Matt. He's going to come up into a little bit of a J pattern. It's not up in a straight line. It is going to come back. So as he goes down again, as we watch his arm when he goes to press, go ahead and press slowly, his arm's going to come out. It's going to actually internally rotate as he comes up just a little bit. So that rotation is going to help him finish the exercise, where if he keeps his elbows tucked in, go ahead and keep your elbows tucked in really, really hard, like a close grip bench press. If he keeps them in, we can see that his elbow is actually right here and his hands are right here. That's a problem in terms of creating force and power. So this would prevent him from benching the most weight that he could, or getting more reps out. But if he actually stays good in control and doesn't over-tuck his elbows, he just has his elbows in a good position. So out here a little bit. Then when he goes to press, he's in a good, solid position. So go ahead and go back down real quick. So the other thing is, when he goes to press, he's always got his feet pushed into the floor to some degree. The way that I prefer people to do it is when they're at the top, they're going to have about 70 to 80% leg drive on their feet on the way down, so that they're good and stable and they can't move. And then when he comes down, then whenever he goes to actually press his rep up, he's going to push 100% with his feet, but still keeping his butt on the bench, and then he'll actually perform his rep. All right, you go and rack it. I'll give you a breather. So that gives him the ability to provide that force from the ground up into the barbell as he finishes the rep. Another thing like we're going to talk about here is with the hand grip, one more thing. So go ahead and grab the bar again. When he grabs that bar, go ahead and grab it. You'll see people talk about pulling the ball apart or spreading it or breaking it. The reason we're going to do that is when we squeeze our pinkies and our thumbs and we pull the bar apart and we try to break it, you can notice how it retracts my scapulas, but it also activates my lats. That's going to turn all this on, which we said earlier is going to help stabilize the humerus, which that's what's important. That's what's actually moving, right? So we actually have our scapula pinned down. And so when that happens, we need the humerus to move. So when he has this squeezed hard and he actually goes to come down, his elbows will track naturally. Go ahead and go, Matt. And that's going to eliminate the ability of you having to, and then press. That's going to eliminate the ability of you actually having to coach and worry about tucking or when to flaring. As long as you're squeezing, keeping that bar, your elbows will track naturally where they're supposed to go. And then when he provides his leg drive, one more, Matt. And then he presses leg drive and back up. So that is the primary coaching cues you're going to look for in the bench press. The bench press can have some positives and negatives, but primarily we want to focus on making sure that the shoulders are pulled back and down. We have scapular depression and retraction where they're back towards their butt. That's how I like to coach it, where they're back and down, like in your back pocket. The feet are rooted at all times. They're going to squeeze the bar. Elbows will track naturally as long as that happens. And when they go to press, we want them to focus on pressing themselves into the bench, and that will help keep the shoulders pulled in instead of pushing the bar away from you. That will cause protraction. That's just more range of motion. And for many of your athletes, you're trying to avoid that, that aspect in terms of what you're doing. So that's the bench press. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section or visit us at thirstgym.com.